This is Lesson 8, Introduction to Addition of Integers. In Lesson 8 through 11, we will be considering equations that involve working with both red number cubes, representing positive constants, and green number cubes, representing negative constants. So let me go ahead and show you what I mean with that. And if you've done the integer soup lesson, this will be a lot easier for you to understand. So these are going to be considered positive constants, and we can see here we have a positive 5 plus a positive 3 is going to give us a positive 8. That means our reds increased to 8. So it's a positive. If we were on the number line here, we would have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We started out here and we went up 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That to give us 8. 6, 7, 8. That and show you another one. So in this problem, we're going to see that we are going to have negative numbers now. We're going to change negative 5 plus a negative 3 is going to equal a negative 8. So if I have my soup and I started out with the degrees of 5 and I brought it down 3 more degrees, it's decreasing. So now it decreased to a total of 8. So now we're going to be working on the other side of the number line. So here's 0, and this would be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, and negative 8. Okay, so we started out at negative 5, and we went down 3 more. 1, 2, 3. That brought us to negative 8. Another one with you. Now I'm going to show you how you could get to 0. So if I started at positive 5, that means my soup is hot, and I'm going to decrease it by 5, what will my temperature be? It will be 0, 0. So for example, if I'm at 5 here, I have a hotter soup, and I've brought it down 5 degrees, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would be at 0. So that's how to get an integer. It's just like the convenient 0. You can do the same with your constants. Another one. So in this case, I'm actually going to have a positive 5. And I'm going to bring it down 3. And we'll end up with a positive 2. Show you that. So I have a positive 5. I'm going to bring the temperature down 3 degrees. And that's going to leave me with 2. So I'm at 5 here. And it says plus a negative 3. That means I'm taking some of the temperature away. I'm dropping the temperature. Or you can say I'm taking some of your debt away. So let's say you owe your parents $5, but you worked off 3 of it. That means you took away some of your debt. And now you only have $2 that you need to pay them. It's the same thing. You're adding a negative number. You're decreasing it. You're taking the amount away. Okay, so here we're at 5. Now I'm going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3, and you can see I'm at positive 2. Okay, so let me show you how to do this problem in a different way. So here's the same problem we just had. A positive 5 plus a negative 3 is going to equal 2. Remember that we can break numbers apart. So if we actually replaced this 5, we can replace a 5 with a negative 2 and a negative a positive 2 and a positive 3, because that's going to give me my 5. So if I take this and I replace it with the 2 and the 3, that still equals 5. But here now we can see that a 3 and a 3 gives me my 0, right? So because, as we did with the 5, if we started at 3 and we took away the 3, we would add 0. So that would be a 0, and you can see now our equation is true because they check. Okay, so there's two ways there that you can think about that. Let me show you another example here. Let's say we have the opposite now. We have negative 5 and a positive 3. It's going to give me a negative 2. So set that up. So here's our negative 5. Here's our positive 3. And I'm going to end up as a negative 2. Again, we can take this 5 and break it up into a 3 and a 2. You can see that still equals 5. We are just replacing it. And then we can see here that I have a 0 pair, a 3 and a 3, the opposite of 3. And we call that, what we call that is, it's called an absolute value. Our convenient zeros are basically our absolute value. It brings the number back to 0. So what absolute value means, it's only how far a number is from 0. So you have a positive 6, that means it's negative 6 away from 0. If you have a negative 6, it's positive 6 away from 0. So the absolute value of 6 is 6, and the absolute value of negative 6 is also 6. So you can see here that the absolute value of negative 9 would be positive 9, and 3 is 3, and 0 is 0, and the absolute value of 156 is 156. There are no negatives when you're talking about absolute value because that's the number it is away from 0. So absolute value means to remove any negative signs in front of the number and to think of the numbers as positives. And these are the symbols you'll see when it's talking about absolute value. The lines next to it, kind of like brackets, means absolute value.